Hello again, it's Pete from Records. For our next little projects together, I've drawn out a DML305, one we've used for shows and events in the past. So it's not been used for a while, obviously, because of the lockdown, so it needs a little bit of attention. It's a little bit dry and a bit of rust on it here and there. So I'm going to give it a bit of a clean up and check it over, and do a few little projects with you for maintenance, and just get the best out of your machine. But first of all, what I do is just do a little overview of the old machine itself. So DML305, the motor, you've got about, on the output, you've got about half horsepower. Cam action on your tool rest as standard, and on your tailstock. It comes with a 4-prong drive, a revolving centre. You get a chuck plate, face plate as well. This again has got a little bit of rust on it, wants a little bit of a clean up. There's a tool holder in the back here, which is quite useful because it carries all your little bits of tooling and stuff like that. One of the things you get is you get a shaft so you can eject your sensors out. On the tailstock it's not needed because you've got a self-ejector on there, so you can wind that back, inject your tool rest before I lock it off. So that comes out, and those can be stored in the little compartments at the back. This has also got 12 position indexing, and that's your lock for it. Now this is not a spindle lock, this is actually just for indexing. If you try to use that as a lock, it may work and it may not, because what you've got on the spindle is basically a ring with the corresponding gaps in there for your index positions, and if you use it as a spindle lock, more than likely you're going to shift the position, so it might just spin it round, or it might just loosen it off completely that you can't do any indexing on it at all. So then you've got to do a bit of a strip down to get inside to get at the screw. If you want to take your chuck off, don't use the lock, use the bar provided, and then with your chuck together with the key that's in the chuck, or if it's got a spanner fixing on the back, use the spanner. But I say, don't use the spindle lock. So like I say, you've got a range of speeds on there, and you access those by undoing the screw in the cover at the back. Nice long screw. Supposedly comes the rest when you before you gain access in there. So twin pulleys, and you've got your steps on there, so you've got your 6 positions for your various speeds. So to change belt, all you do is release that lever, pull that up a little bit, just pinch it off, and then move the belt across to the corresponding position. Make sure it's in line. Drop it back down again. A little bit of pressure, don't need a lot of pressure on there. And lock it back up again. So you need a little bit of flex in there. So in the future, if you get one of these as well, it's very easy to change the belt, because all you've got to do is take that off and lift the belt out. I'll do that again in a bit. So it's important you make sure it's lined up okay there as well, because again this is a poly V belt type, not just a standard V, so you've got multiple V's across there, and if you cross over from one section to another and it's not in line, what it'll do is it'll fray the belt, it'll wear the belt quickly, and it could even slip off, but the worst thing is it's just going to damage the condition of the belt. So lock it back up again. And you can plug it in. So out of the index position, start it up. So nice, with the 5 speeds from say going down to 350 and the very high speeds, you've got a nice range of speeds there, cover a large range of work for your people who like doing your pens. It's a nice quick easy little lathe to use, to other small projects as well. So what I'm going to do first of all is actually look at the bed, because it's quite dry, and the tool rest as well. This has got lots of surface dust, rust on it, so it's not hard to clean off. It's quickly, but it just makes it a lot smoother if you transfer your tooling over there. It's got a few little lumps on there as well. You want to avoid those, so as when you're doing anything smooth, your tooling is not going to judder across the surface. So always keep this in good condition. It just makes whatever you're turning a little bit easier and smoother to do. So, while we got it in this condition as well, we have on here, so between your centres with the tooling in place and back to your stop, and that's fully wound back, you've just got just over 15 inches between there, and then you've got 6 inches, just over 6 inches for your spindle, so you can do approximately about a 12-inch bowl. It's a little bit close. You'd have to get it marked out really correctly in the centre to accommodate a 12-inch bowl, but it could be done. It's at its max, so anything underneath is a lot easier. You've got 15 inches between your centres at the moment, but this machine has already been pre-drilled. So onto the back of here, this is a machine face, and you've got a couple of tapped holes in there, so you can put a bed extension on there. It's quite easy to take the tailstock off once you've undone that screw, but if you want to keep the machine in one piece as such, and you want a little bit more working distance between the centres, you can add the bed extension on there. But that also, the bed extension comes into good use when you want to work across, if you've got a bowl in there to get your arm across. So if you've got the actual bed extension fitted there, it's just easier to access what you're trying to turn on there. So we'll have that off anyway. So one of the little projects we will be doing on this is actually servicing the tailstock. So the next one, I will strip this down, give this a clean out, make sure this all functions nice and smoothly. Again on the tool, so I'll give this a clean up. This wants a little bit of attention. It's a little bit rough. It's got some rust and it's just a little bit, needs a bit of tidy up. And pay attention to the actual shaft itself, make sure that's nice and clean. I'll give it a clean out inside. Again, bit of penetrating oil, something like that. Give this a clean, get that stuff out of there, and then dry it off, and then put a little bit of dry silicone spray on there. Again, I don't want to use anything with an oil base on there because it'll just clog up on there and everything just starts sticking. So the machine's unplugged, so the first thing I'm going to do is just give this bed a quick buzz over. Just check to see there's no lumps or anything on there, any sharp edges. If they are, just get a little file and give them a trim off. And then also on the sides, just gently on the sides as well. Make sure it's not any sharp edges when you put your fingers across them. If you have, just get a stone or a bit of cloth again. You just go underneath, just give that a fold under. So if everything's nice and smooth, it just makes your applications moving, your tooling, your tool rest, tailstock, all that little bit easier. So pay attention to the edges. nice and smooth. So what I'm going to do now is just give it a quick buzz over. The bed's only got light dry patches and a little bit of rust on there, but it's worth removing them and getting them out of the way. And it's like I say, it makes your use of the machine a lot easier. So again, I've got set up with a little orbital sander and an extractor set onto that 120 disc again, I think, in here. So it's going to give that a little bit of a buzz over. So the only area I haven't got, and it's probably not going to work too, is just right underneath the head. Just use a wiper to get a little wet wipe to get most of the dust off, because you're still going to have a little bit of cast dust in there. Again, give it a little dry. And then I'll put a little bit of wax into the surface again. And get this over and done with first, and I can build it up a little bit in there. Probably a little bit too much. Again, this will help to draw muck out of the bed. And just keep it all nice and easy to use. And this type of wax we're using here is a microcrystalline. So again, I'm not going to get anything sat on the surface of the bedways. But what I am going to get is a nice smooth working area. And pay attention to this undersides as well, put a little bit underneath as well. Everything should slide along nice and easily now. So that's took all of the resistance out of the bed. Everything's nice and smooth on there now. It gives it a little bit of protection as well. So if I put my fingers on there, it's not going to taint it. And if you drop anything else on there, just give it a little bit of protection. I'm not going to keep everything off, but it'll keep most of the things off there. If you're losing a lot of finishing and stuff like that, it'll give it a little bit of protection, but you're still going to need to clean that up on a regular basis anyway. So the next part I'm going to do is to have a look at the actual tailstock and the tool rest. Give those a good clean over along with the tool rest itself. It's again 8-inch tool rest that comes standard with the machine. And we'll just follow on with that shortly. So I'll catch up with you again soon. Cheers, bye for now.